Your brain has been holding on all day, holding on to tasks, to thoughts, to plans, to worries, holding everything together, keeping you focused, keeping you alert, keeping you engaged with the world. But now, as night arrives, it can finally start to let go. This process of letting go is not instant. It happens slowly, gradually, over the course of the evening and night. Your brain does not simply switch off, like turning off a light. Instead, it dims, little by little, releasing its grip on the day, one piece at a time. During the day, your brain operates in what scientists call task-positive mode. This means it is actively focused on the external world, on problems to solve, on decisions to make, on things that need your attention. In this mode, your prefrontal cortex is very active. This is the part of your brain behind your forehead. It handles executive functions, planning ahead, controlling impulses, organizing information, making judgments. But this constant activity requires a lot of energy. Your prefrontal cortex uses more energy than almost any other part of your brain. And after many hours of being active, it becomes tired. It needs to rest. As evening comes, your brain begins to shift away from task-positive mode and toward what is called the default mode. In default mode, your brain is less focused on external tasks and more focused on internal processing, on reflecting, on wandering, on simply being. This shift does not happen because you decide it should. It happens automatically as part of your circadian rhythm, your internal biological clock. This clock is controlled by a tiny part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It sits just above where your optic nerves cross, and it receives information about light. When light enters your eyes during the day, signals travel to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, telling it that it is daytime, and your brain responds by staying alert, staying focused, staying in task-positive mode. But as evening comes and light fades, fewer signals reach the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and it begins to send different messages to the rest of your brain. Messages that say it is time to slow down, time to shift modes, time to prepare for rest. One of the first things your brain does as it begins to let go is reduce production of certain neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that carry signals between brain cells. During the day, your brain produces high levels of dopamine, a neurotransmitter involved in motivation and focus, and norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter involved in alertness and attention. These chemicals keep you engaged, keep you moving, keep you thinking clearly. But as night approaches, production of these neurotransmitters starts to decline, slowly at first, then more noticeably. As they decrease, you might notice changes in yourself. You might find it harder to focus on complex tasks, harder to make decisions, harder to stay motivated. This is not a problem. This is your brain beginning to let go, beginning to shift away from the demands of the day and toward the rest of the night. At the same time, another chemical begins to increase, a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine is a byproduct of energy use in your brain. Every time your neurons fire, every time you think a thought or make a movement, your cells use energy. And when they use energy, they produce adenosine. During the day, adenosine builds up gradually, accumulating in your brain, binding to receptors on your neurons. And the more adenosine that builds up, the stronger the signal becomes, telling your brain that it is tired, that it needs to rest. Scientists call this sleep pressure. And by now, after many hours of being awake, your sleep pressure is high. Your adenosine levels have been building all day, creating a strong biological drive, pushing you towards sleep. This is why you feel tired right now. Not because something is wrong, but because your brain is doing exactly what it should, responding to the signals that tell it to let go, to rest, to sleep. Your brain is also responding to another chemical, melatonin. Melatonin is often called the sleep hormone, though it does not make you sleep directly. Instead, it signals to your body that night has arrived, and that sleep should soon follow. Melatonin is produced by your pineal gland, a small structure deep in your brain. When darkness falls and light no longer reaches your eyes, your pineal gland begins to release melatonin into your bloodstream. Melatonin travels throughout your body, reaching every organ, every tissue, every cell. As your brain continues to let go, it begins to release control over your thoughts. During the day, your thinking is usually organized, linear, logical. One thought leads to another in a clear progression. You can follow a train of thought from beginning to end without getting lost. This is because your prefrontal cortex maintains control over your thought processes, keeping them organized, keeping them coherent, keeping them goal-directed. But as you move towards sleep, the prefrontal cortex becomes less active. Its control begins to weaken, and your thoughts start to drift. This drifting is completely normal. It is a sign that your brain is letting go, moving away from wakeful thinking and towards sleep. You might notice that your thoughts become fragmented, jumping from one topic to another without any clear connection. This is called mind wandering, and it happens more frequently. As you approach sleep, your brain is no longer trying to maintain a coherent narrative. It is simply allowing thoughts to arise and fade away without holding on to them. Sometimes these wandering thoughts can feel strange or illogical. You might think about something that makes no sense, or see images in your mind that seem random or disconnected. This happens because different parts of your brain are shutting down at different rates. Your logical thinking centers are becoming quiet, while your visual centers and emotional centers might still be somewhat active, creating a mix of thoughts and images that do not follow normal logic. Scientists call this state hypnagogia, the transition zone between waking and sleeping. In hypnagogia, your brain is partially asleep and partially awake, different regions operating at different levels, creating an experience that is neither fully conscious nor fully unconscious. Some people experience vivid imagery during hypnagogia, seeing faces or landscapes, or abstract patterns of color and light. Others hear sounds, like voices or music, that are not really there. These are called hypnagogic hallucinations, and they are completely harmless, just a natural part of your brain letting go, releasing its grip on reality, and beginning to create the dream world that will come later in the night as your thoughts continue to drift. Your brain is also letting go of its awareness of your body. During the day, you are constantly aware of physical sensations, the feeling of your clothes against your skin, the position of your arms and legs, the temperature of the air, hundreds of tiny sensations that your brain processes every moment. But as you move towards sleep, your brain starts to filter out these sensations, deciding they are not important, not worth paying attention to. This is why your body might feel like it is disappearing or becoming very light or very heavy. Your brain is letting go of its constant monitoring of physical sensation, allowing your body to rest without needing to track every small detail. Sometimes as this happens, you might experience what is called a hypnic jerk, a sudden muscle twitch that feels like you are falling. Scientists are not completely sure why this happens, but one theory is that as your muscles relax, your brain misinterprets the relaxation as a loss of control and sends a quick signal to tighten the muscles just to check that everything is still working. This is harmless, just another part of the letting go process. Your brain being cautious as it releases control. Your breathing is also changing as your brain lets go. During the day, your breathing is controlled partly by your conscious mind and partly by automatic systems in your brainstem. You can choose to breathe faster or slower, to hold your breath, or to take a deep breath. But as you move towards sleep, conscious control fades, and your brainstem takes over completely. Your breathing becomes automatic, following a natural rhythm that your body has known since you were born. This rhythm is slower and more regular than your daytime breathing. Each breath is deep and full, filling your lungs completely and then releasing without any effort, without any thought. Your brainstem knows exactly what to do, how much oxygen you need, how much carbon dioxide to release. It has been managing your breathing your entire life, and it will continue throughout the night, even when you are deeply asleep, even when you are completely unaware. Your breath will continue, steady and reliable, keeping you alive, keeping you safe. Many people confuse rest with sleep. They are related, but they are not the same. Rest means reduced activity. Sleep means a specific brain transition. You can rest without sleeping. You can lie still, close your eyes, and feel physically relaxed. Yet the brain may remain awake. This is common. The brain does not enter sleep simply because the body is still. Stillness helps, but it is not enough. Sleep requires a change in brain state. This change depends on disengagement. Disengagement means the brain stops trying to manage evaluate, or predict. Rest can include quiet thinking. Sleep cannot. If the brain is still, organizing information, sleep is delayed. Many people try to rest their way into sleep. They relax muscles, slow breathing, and reduce movement. These actions are helpful, but they do not guarantee sleep. The brain may accept rest while remaining alert. Alert rest can feel frustrating. It feels close to sleep, but not quite there. This state is not a mistake. It is a transition phase. The brain is testing whether it is safe to disengage further. Safety is not just physical. It is also cognitive. The brain asks, is there anything unresolved? Is there anything unpredictable? Is there anything demanding attention? If the answer feels uncertain, the brain stays partially engaged. This engagement is subtle. It may feel like light thinking, wandering images, or background concern. Even gentle engagement can delay sleep. This is why trying to relax harder often does not work. Trying is effort. Effort activates attention. Attention keeps the brain awake. Sleep begins when effort stops. This does not mean you should stop relaxing. It means relaxation alone is not the switch. The switch is disengagement. Disengagement happens when the brain senses nothing more is required. No task, no decision, no monitoring. Monitoring rest keeps the brain alert. Checking, am I asleep yet, is a form of monitoring. Monitoring signals importance. Importance delays sleep. The brain prefers unfinished states over forced completion. Sleep arrives when the brain is allowed to remain unfinished. Thoughts do not need a conclusion. Sensations do not need interpretation. Time does not need tracking. When these needs drop, sleep becomes possible. Another difference between rest and sleep is memory. During rest, memory systems remain active. During sleep, memory processing changes. The brain shifts from active review to integration. Integration happens without awareness. If awareness stays strong, integration is delayed. This is why background listening can help. It occupies attention just enough to reduce monitoring, but not enough to create stimulation. A steady voice, without demand, supports disengagement. The brain does not feel alone, but it does not feel required to respond. This balance is important. Too much silence can increase monitoring. Too much stimulation increases arousal. Sleep exists between these extremes. You do not need to find the perfect state. The brain adjusts automatically if rest continues without pressure. Sleep pressure keeps building. Eventually, sleep pressure outweighs alertness. This moment cannot be forced. It arrives when the balance shifts. If you are resting now, but still awake, that does not mean sleep is failing. It means the process is still unfolding. Unfolding takes time. Time passes. Even when nothing seems to change, the brain continues to adjust in the background. You do not need to supervise this. Supervision is effort. Effort delays sleep. You can allow rest to remain incomplete. Incomplete rest often leads to sleep. If you drift and then return, that is normal. Sleep onset is not a straight line. It is a gradual fade. Awareness loosens, tightens briefly, then loosens again. Each cycle moves closer to sleep. You do not need to notice the moment. The brain will not announce it. It will simply move on. You can stay here, listening quietly, or you can let go. Both support the same transition. Control is one of the last things the brain releases before sleep. During the day, control is constant. It helps with planning, decision-making, and self-monitoring. At night, this system does not shut off instantly. It fades gradually. Many people notice a desire to control sleep itself. They try to guide it, manage it, or speed it up. This is understandable. Sleep feels important, but importance activates control. Control keeps the brain engaged. Engagement delays sleep. The brain does not fall asleep while being observed. Observation requires attention. Attention maintains alertness. Sleep begins when observation weakens. This weakening happens in small steps. First, thoughts lose structure. Then intentions lose clarity. Then monitoring becomes inconsistent. These changes are subtle. They are easy to miss. The brain does not announce that control is fading. It simply stops applying it consistently. You may notice that you forget what you were thinking about. This forgetting is not loss. It is disengagement. The brain no longer prioritizes continuity of thought. Continuity belongs to wakefulness. Sleep allows interruption. Interrupted thoughts do not resume. They dissolve. This dissolution is a sign of progress. Many people misinterpret it. They try to bring the thought back. Bringing it back re-engages control. Re-engagement delays sleep. Letting thoughts disappear allows the process to continue. The brain is designed to release control safely. It does this only when vigilance is low. Vigilance lowers when nothing demands action. No decisions, no responses, no evaluation, even subtle evaluation, keeps vigilance active. Evaluation includes judging sleep quality, timing, or progress. The brain treats evaluation as a task. Tasks signal wakefulness. Sleep requires the absence of tasks. This does not mean you must stop all thinking. It means thinking can lose direction. Direction requires control. Undirected thought naturally fades. You may notice images that do not connect, or sentences that do not finish. These are not distractions. They are signs that control is loosening. As control loosens, the brain shifts modes from executive processing to background regulation. Background regulation does not require awareness. It continues even if attention drifts. The brain prefers predictable conditions. During this shift, a steady sound, a familiar rhythm, and no sudden change support release of control. Nothing new needs to be introduced. Novelty would reactivate monitoring. Familiarity signals safety. Safety allows surrender of control. Surrender is not a decision. It is a response. The brain responds to absence of demand. Demand can be external or internal. Internal demand is often harder to notice. The thought I should be asleep by now, is demand. Demand creates urgency. Urgency keeps the brain alert. When urgency fades, control follows. Control does not vanish. It becomes irrelevant. The brain no longer checks whether control is present. Checking would require attention. Attention is already softening. Soft attention does not hold structure. Without structure, control has nothing to act on. This is why sleep can arrive without warning. There is no final switch. There is no moment that must be witnessed. The brain simply moves on. If awareness briefly returns, control may flicker. This does not reset the process. It is part of the fade. Each return is usually shorter. Each release is usually deeper. The brain learns that no action is required. Learning happens through repetition. Each night, this pattern repeats. Even difficult nights do not erase it. The ability to sleep is not lost. It is delayed. Delay does not mean failure. It means conditions are still forming. Conditions continue to form without effort, especially without effort. You do not need to help control fade. Helping is control. Control fades when it is no longer needed. You can remain here, listening quietly, or you can let awareness loosen. Both allow the same transition. As the process continues, the sense of time begins to change. Time does not disappear, but it becomes less precise. The brain stops tracking minutes and sequences. Tracking belongs to wakefulness. Sleep does not require tracking. When time loses clarity, urgency fades. Urgency keeps the brain alert. Its absence supports sleep. You may notice that moments feel longer or shorter. This distortion is a sign that temporal monitoring is weakening. The brain no longer needs to know when something happens. It only needs to maintain stability. Stability replaces timing. Without timing, there is no pressure. Without pressure, there is no reason to remain alert. The brain begins to operate in a continuous mode. Continuous mode does not rely on checkpoints. There is no before or after, only ongoing regulation. This is why sleep does not feel like entering a new state. It feels like drifting into continuity. Drifting does not require effort. Effort would interrupt it. You may notice that your sense of position softens. The edges of the body become less defined. This does not mean the body disappears. It means the brain reduces sensory resolution. High resolution requires energy. Low resolution conserves energy. Energy conservation supports deeper rest. The brain filters input more strongly now. Sounds may still exist. They are simply not evaluated. Evaluation requires relevance. Relevance is no longer assigned. The voice you hear may become part of the background. Background does not demand response. This allows attention to relax further. Relaxed attention does not hold shape. Without shape, there is nothing to manage. Management belongs to waking life. Sleep belongs to maintenance. Maintenance proceeds without supervision. You do not need to watch this happen. Watching would reactivate monitoring. Monitoring is unnecessary now. The brain continues because conditions remain stable. Stability is more important than silence. Stability tells the brain that nothing needs to change. Change would require alertness. Alertness remains low. Low alertness allows continuity to deepen. At this stage, the brain synchronizes slower rhythms. These rhythms support restoration and integration. Integration does not feel like anything. It happens beneath awareness. This is why there may be gaps in memory of the night. Gaps are not missing time. They are moments when awareness was unnecessary. The brain does not record what it does not need. Recording is optional. You are not expected to remember falling asleep. Memory formation is reduced during this transition. Reduced memory is a sign that sleep is approaching. You may feel thoughts becoming simpler or disappearing entirely. You may notice images without meaning or sensations without location. These experiences do not need interpretation. Interpretation would add structure. Structure would re-engage control. Control remains unnecessary. The brain is now focused on balance. Balance does not require awareness. It requires consistency. As long as nothing new demands attention, the process continues. If awareness briefly returns, it does so lightly. There is no urgency attached to it. Urgency would signal threat. Threat is absent. The environment remains predictable. Predictability reinforces safety. Safety allows the brain to remain disengaged. Disengagement does not mean nothing is happening. It means nothing requires response. Response systems rest. Rest allows restoration. Restoration unfolds. Without direction, you are not needed to guide this. You are not late or behind. The process follows its own timing. Timing does not require monitoring. It unfolds regardless. You can remain listening. If awareness stays, or you can drift without noticing. Both are part of the same continuation. As sleep becomes more stable, the brain no longer treats brief awareness as a problem. Short returns of awareness are normal. They do not mean that sleep is stopped. They mean the brain is checking safety. This checking is automatic. It happens quickly. It does not require thought. The brain performs this check many times each night. Most of the time, you do not remember it. Memory is not prioritized now. When safety is confirmed, the brain continues resting. This process is efficient. It does not restart from the beginning. It resumes where it left off. This is why waking briefly does not erase progress. The idea that sleep must be continuous is a misunderstanding. Natural sleep contains many transitions. These transitions are smooth. They are not interruptions. They are part of regulation. The brain cycles through different depths of sleep. Each cycle serves a different purpose. Some cycles support physical restoration. Others support emotional regulation. Others support memory integration. Awareness may appear between these cycles. Its appearance does not require action. Action would increase alertness. Alertness would delay return to sleep. Non-reaction allows the cycle to continue. The brain recognizes when no response is needed. It then returns to deeper rest. This return often happens faster than the initial sleep onset. The brain already knows the pathway. It does not need guidance. This is why staying calm during brief awakenings is helpful. Calm signals that nothing has changed. Change would require attention. Attention would increase arousal. Arousal is unnecessary. The body remains relaxed. Breathing remains steady. Heart rate remains regular. These signals reinforce safety. Safety allows the brain to stay disengaged. You may notice that thoughts feel weaker now. They appear without urgency. They may disappear quickly. This is a sign that alert networks are quiet. Quiet does not mean silence. It means reduced priority. The brain is selective now. Only strong signals would trigger full wakefulness. Strong signals are absent. The environment remains stable. Stability supports continuation. You are not required to fall asleep again. Sleep returns when pressure and calm align. Alignment happens naturally. It does not require effort. Effort would activate monitoring. Monitoring would slow the process, letting awareness pass without reaction. Supports quick return to rest. The brain interprets non-reaction as confirmation of safety. This confirmation is more powerful than any technique. Techniques are not needed now. The system is already active. You may drift in and out of awareness. Each drift goes slightly deeper. Each return is usually shorter. This pattern is common and healthy. The brain does not evaluate it. Evaluation belongs to waking life. Sleep continues without judgment. If you notice the voice again, that is fine. If the voice fades, that is also fine. Both indicate that the brain remains relaxed. There is no wrong way for this process to unfold. There is only continuation. Continuation does not require your involvement. It proceeds on its own. The brain maintains balance without supervision. You do not need to check progress. Progress is happening. Whether you notice or not, you can allow this stability to continue. You can remain or you can drift. Both support the same sustained rest. As sleep deepens further, the brain shifts its focus from transition to restoration. Restoration is not passive. It is an active process. That does not require awareness. The brain uses this time to rebalance systems that were active during the day. Neural connections that were heavily used are adjusted. Some connections strengthen, others weaken. This balance prevents overload. It also supports learning and emotional stability. During deep rest, the brain reduces unnecessary communication between distant regions. This reduction lowers mental noise. Noise belongs to wakefulness. Quiet coordination belongs to sleep. You are not meant to experience this directly. Experience requires awareness. Awareness is no longer central. This is why sleep feels empty when remembered. Emptiness is not absence. It is efficiency. The brain conserves energy by simplifying activity. Simplification supports depth. Depth supports repair. The nervous system remains in a low arousal state. Signals that would trigger alertness are filtered out. Filtering is stronger now. Only meaningful changes would reach awareness. No such changes are present. The environment remains predictable. Predictability reinforces safety. Safety allows restoration to continue uninterrupted. During this phase, the brain also regulates emotion. Emotional intensity is reduced. Sharp edges soften. This allows memories to be stored without reactivating stress. Stress responses are downregulated. This does not erase experiences. It changes how they are held. The brain separates information from emotional charge. This separation supports resilience. You do not need to revisit the day for this to happen. The process is automatic. It does not depend on intention or reflection. The brain also supports physical recovery. Hormonal systems adjust. Tissues receive signals for repair. Immune activity shifts. These processes are coordinated. Without conscious input, you are not required to stay asleep for them to work. Partial sleep still provides benefit. The brain uses every available moment. There is no wasted time. Even light sleep contributes to balance. This is why rest is never pointless. Even if sleep feels incomplete, the brain continues to restore what it can. At this depth, thinking is minimal. Thoughts may not form. Oh, if they do, they lack structure. Structure would require engagement. Engagement remains low. The brain does not seek meaning. Meaning belongs to narrative thinking. Narrative thinking is inactive now. Without narrative, there is no story to follow. Time loses relevance. Sequence is unnecessary. Only continuity remains. Continuity supports stability. Stability supports restoration. You do not need to protect this state. The brain protects it automatically. If a brief signal appears, the brain evaluates it quickly. If it is harmless, rest continues. This evaluation happens without awareness. You do not need to wait for it. The system is reliable. It has evolved to manage itself. You can trust that this process is ongoing, whether you notice it or not, whether awareness stays or fades. The outcome does not depend on observation. The brain continues because it is designed to. Nothing else is required. You can remain, or you can drift further. Both support the same deep restoration. Breath in, slow, soft, quiet, hard, beating, gentle, distant, mind, empty, nothing, body, still, heavy, resting, sleep, here, deep, complete, darkness, all around, inside, silence, total, peace, forever. No, just this, nothing more. Breathing continues. Life continues. You rest, sleep, holds. You safe, warm, protected. Time gone, thought gone, awareness gone. Only sleep, only rest, only this moment, eternal, peaceful, complete. You are sleeping. No, deeply, fully, safely. Rest here, stay here, sleep here. Nothing else matters. Nothing else exists. Just sleep, just peace, just rest. Breathing hard. Life continuing while you sleep, while you rest, while you are held by sleep forever. No, sleep, rest, peace, here, always. No, sleep.